Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 milliamp hour power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Homeowner is handed exorbitant fine for her garden as city issues instant $500 tickets under weather crackdown. A strict citywide crackdown has left homeowners with hefty $500 fines if they are gardening incorrectly. One woman in the Texas town left to go on vacation and was greeted with a ticket on her front door when she came back. Corpus Christi, which is about 3 hours south of Houston, has been facing an extreme drought since December, and water levels are dangerously low. Since then, the city has rigorously enforced water usage restrictions and issued fines if homeowners allow water to run into gutters or irrigate their properties illegally. In the last 3 months alone, over 160 citations have been handed out, racking up more than $61,000 in fines, according to Corpus Christi Caller Times. These penalties can reach as high as $500 per violation, and many residents have been left fuming over the fines. Among the violations, most were for prohibited irrigation, 95 tickets in total. 43 fines were handed out for water flowing into gutters, and another 8 were for car washing offenses. Martha Keel, a longtime resident and avid gardener, was one of the homeowners who received fines in early January. "It feels invasive when I'm trying to do the right thing," she told the local paper, calling the fine exorbitant. She was ticketed for 2 violations, one for water running into her gutter and another for prohibited irrigation. The gutter ticket was dismissed, but the second ticket, for irrigation that occurred while she was out of town, was reduced to $250 after Keel spoke with the prosecutor. "Why not just put a note on my door and say, 'Hey, your sprinkler came on,'" Keel said. Despite the fine, Keel is continuing her efforts to save her garden, which includes a variety of plants and trees. She's working with local services to irrigate her lawn with treated wastewater, which is now being made available for residential use. The fines are a response to severe drought conditions, as water from Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon Reservoir dropped below 20%. Gardening experts over at Tool Station have revealed the garden laws you need to be aware of not breaking. While some of these laws could land you with an unlimited fine in extreme cases, a friendly chat with your neighbors can usually resolve any issues. Tree removal and pruning. If you have a tree in your garden you want to get rid of, you better think twice and do your research. The gardening experts reveal, if one neighbor wishes to remove or heavily prune a tree that the other neighbor values, disputes can arise over the impact on the view, shade, or privacy. While it might cause a row, if it is within your property boundary, it is ultimately your choice unless it has a tree protection order on it. But some trees may be protected by a tree protection order, which makes it an offense to uproot, top, or destroy them, the experts warn. You can find out by contacting your local officials for a map that shows this information. Property boundaries and fences. One of the main causes of neighbors falling out is through arguing over property boundaries and fencing. To avoid this situation, the gardening pros recommend checking the deeds of your property to determine the correct boundaries. Most of the time, it's easy to determine who owns the fence, as the fence posts will usually be on the owner's side, they add. Garden structures and additions. A pergola is the perfect addition to a garden if you want somewhere to relax in the shade. However, if it obstructs your neighbor's view or violates local building regulations, it could cause a dispute, as can sheds and other garden structures. If you're not sure, have a chat with your neighbors to let them know what you're planning, and if there's an issue, get in touch with your local council who can give you more guidance. Advise the gardening experts. Overhanging branches and plants. When branches, vines, or roots from one neighbor's tree or plant extend into the neighboring property, it can lead to disagreements over potential damage to structures, blocked views, or the burden of maintenance, reveal the pros. However, it's important to note you can only trim overhanging branches up to the boundary of your property, otherwise, it could be seen as trespassing. You can climb into the tree to carry out the work if needed, but only on your property and make sure to stay on your side of the fence if you don't have permission to enter your neighbor's garden. City data showed lake levels were down to just 17.1% as of Thursday. City officials have been clear that the goal is not to generate revenue, but to promote water conservation during this critical time. Last year, in 2024, about 1,300 fines were issued under Stage 1 and Stage 2 restrictions, totaling around $402,000. As of last week, the total number of fines issued in 2025 reached 162, with more residents facing the possibility of hefty fines for their water usage. With water levels continuing to drop, officials are adamant about the need for compliance. The city's goal is to avoid reaching Stage 4 restrictions, which could bring even tighter limitations. Environmental activists say the fines push homeowners to comply, but argue that big industrial water users should face stricter conservation measures. A citation does scare people into not wanting to use their water during the drought, said Jake Hernandez of the Texas Campaign for the Environment. Is it ethically okay? That's where the conversation gets a little more nuanced. Officials recently tweaked some rules under the Stage 3 drought plan. Residents can now hand water trees, potted plants, and vegetable beds outside of peak hours. Drip irrigation is allowed every other week. The lawn turf watering remains banned unless using alternative sources like effluent water from the Oso wastewater treatment plant. We're buying ourselves time so that we can get to those points of the year where we see more of the beneficial rainfall, Corpus Christi Water Resource Manager Esteban Ramos said. We do live on the edge of Wild Horse Desert, and from time to time, this desert situation pops up, he added.